Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing a brand new movie, which is something that I haven't done in a very long time because of all the whole lockdown stuff. So on that note, I hope you're all doing well. I hope lockdown's going well for you. I hope you're all staying safe. And in this video we are going to be reviewing a brand new movie, which is just so crazy because I haven't reviewed a brand new movie in such a long time. But anyway, we are going to be reviewing Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. Now this is a retelling of the classic Mortal Kombat tournament storyline with a greater emphasis on Scorpion's origin storyline. Now I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would have done because, you know, it's the origin storyline of the whole Mortal Kombat tournament. It's been done quite a few times now in movies and TV shows and, you know, the video games quite a number of times now. But do you know what? It's actually pretty good. Like, it's the whole animation style version of the Mortal Kombat storyline and it's actually pretty cool. It's a lot of gore and a lot of fatalities in there. So if that's your bag, it's definitely one worth checking out. It will be interesting to see how it compares to next year's live action Mortal Kombat rebooted movie franchise. I don't know if they're going to try to do what they're doing with Spider-Man in terms of having the live action version, kind of like a cartoon animation version, and then a whole Spider-Verse movie version as well. So I don't know if they're kind of doing their old Mortal Kombat spin on this. But anyway, in this video review, we will be reviewing Mortal Kombat Legends Scorpion's Revenge. So let's get on with it. So like I said, there's two main storylines in this movie. The first one is all about Scorpion's origin storyline and how he became the ruthless combatant that we all know and love. You know, what happened to him in the past, what journey did he kind of go to become Scorpion, and then how does he become the character that is just so ruthless and is just, you know, willing to do anything to kind of meet his objective. And then the second main storyline is all about the Mortal Kombat tournament. And what they've done in this movie, which is really, really cool, is just focus on a small group of core characters, which you kind of really get to know as well. And you kind of get to see them in this Mortal Kombat style storyline as well. And it's really pacey, so you're not really feeling bored at any point. And they've done a really good job in terms of spreading out all of the different character origins equally as well, so that you get to kind of know all about these characters. You're kind of on their little journey arcs as well. Some better than others. Some characters do get a bit more time and you get to kind of flesh them out a lot more. And obviously Scorpion has the biggest amount of story arc in this film. You kind of really get to go with him throughout the whole journey of the movie, and I feel like that as a device has been a really cool way to make this kind of movie more its own identity and a bit more distinguished between the other Mortal Kombat franchises, which are a lot more ensemble based and each character kind of has their mini storylines, whereas in this one that is the case, but you just have a greater emphasis on one character storyline that you're kind of with from start to finish. So from a storyline telling point of view, this movie does a really good job. So in terms of the characters of this movie, they've done a really good job whereby they've focused on the characters that are in the first ever Mortal Kombat game. So they've really stayed true to their source material. And if you've watched any of my other reviews, you'll know that I'm a really big fan of great character development. And the fact that they've got a smaller roster, a smaller cast, they really allows them to be able to kind of grow these characters, have many character arcs, obviously giving some characters more emphasis and focus than others. But yeah, just from a character roster point of view, I feel like they've done the right thing in terms of just focusing on a group of small core characters. But anyway, let's get through them one by one. So Scorpion is obviously the main character in this movie, and you're with this character Hanzo Hasashi, who you see firsthand kind of seeing his whole clan and family being brutally murdered by Sub-Zero and his rival clan. And you just kind of see a man who has lost everything and who now has nothing to lose and is just hell-bent on trying to meet his revenge objective. And then the movie storyline is kind of seeing whether or not he kind of is able to realize this revenge storyline. We then have the very classic mentor, overly serious character in Raiden, who is kind of looking after Earthrealm, kind of getting his own combatants ready for Mortal Kombat tournament, and is a very overseeing mentor guide type figure. Very serious, very monotone, as he is in all of the games. Some of the movies kind of depicted him a little bit differently, but as far as this movie goes, he is kind of playing the classic Raiden. You don't necessarily see too much of his powers. You see a little bit here and there. Hopefully in future installments we'll get to see a lot more of the classic super thunder god that is Raiden. But yeah, as far as this movie goes, he's playing more of a mentor, kind of behind the scenes type figure. We then have Liu Kang, who plays the very typical hero who is just kind of a bit of a yes man to Raiden, who's going to kind of protect Earthrealm. You kind of see a lot more layers to his character in other iterations of Liu Kang, but as far as this one goes, he is very one-dimensional, kind of just following this path of trying to protect Earthrealm. Hopefully in future installments we'll get to see this version of Liu Kang kind of have a few more layers, like we did see in MK9. But yes, as far as this one goes, he's very one-dimensional. We then have Johnny Cage, the arrogant actor, who is absolutely hilarious in this movie. He's got some classic one-liners, and I feel like his journey is really interesting in this movie as well. In the beginning, he's a bit of a failing actor who then kind of gets the opportunity to come into Mortal Kombat the tournament, and for a large portion of the film, he thinks that this is all kind of a movie set and everyone's kind of acting, and he doesn't realize the true nature of what is actually at stake. So that's a bit of a funny narrative. And like I said before, he's got some hilarious one-liners in this movie as well. We then have Sonya Blade, who I was a little bit disappointed by in this movie. She is very one-dimensional, not that many layers to her. Her movie adaptation in the first and second live-action Mortal Kombat storyline had a lot more kind of depth to her, but in this one she's just a bit of a ruthless fighter and is kind of protective of her friend Jax. But yeah, as far as Sonya's kind of character goes, it was a bit lacking. We then have Shang Tsung, who is the sleazy and untrustworthy host of the Mortal Kombat tournament. He has won 9 of the last Mortal Kombat tournaments, so if he wins the 10th one, you also get to see in this movie what the reward will be for him. But like some of the other characters, there isn't that many layers to this character either. By contrast though, we then have Quan Chi, who is an absolutely phenomenal villain in this movie. He is the leader of Netherrealm, and he will use magic, sorcery, trickery to kind of get his objective met, and he is a very complicated, ruthless villain in this movie, so he is definitely a great villain for this film. So those are all of the main primary characters. We then have a lot of secondary characters in the movie as well, such as Kitana, who was criminally underused in this animation film. She is a big character within the whole Mortal Kombat world, whereas in this film she is barely in it. There's a couple of lines with Liu Kang, but that's about it. Hopefully if this movie gets a sequel, we'll get to see a lot more character development with Kitana. You have Baraka, who again didn't really have any words to say in this film, had a rival with Johnny Cage, but that was about it in this movie. We then have Reptile, who was in his animalistic form in this film, was one of my favourite characters from the video game, but in this movie he doesn't have any words and is just in a bit of a rival situation with Sonya, but that's about it. We have Goro, who is the winner of the Mortal Kombat tournament, incredibly menacing in this movie, and that was obviously his part to play in this film, and from that point of view he does a really, really good job. We then have Jax and Kano. I won't reveal too much in terms of their storyline, but they're kind of part of Sonya's storyline, and they have a bit of an interesting arc. We then have Motoro, who was just criminally wasted in this film as well. He kind of was a bigger character in the live action remake, and in the video games as well. He's like the penultimate boss, whereas in this one he was a bit of a throwaway character. We have Shao Kahn kind of lurking in the shadows, but again, I won't reveal too much about what happens with his character, as that will obviously enter spoiler territory. But yes, overall, the characters and roster in this film are great. Some better than others, as you can tell from the list that I've given right now, but yes, overall, they did a really good job with them. So in terms of the visuals, it's really interesting here because the Mortal Kombat animation here is very Japanese anime heavy. And if that's your bag, then that's totally cool. But for me, I kind of prefer the more American animation style that you typically see in Marvel animation production. So that's my personal preference. But you know, that said, the Japanese anime style works incredibly well for Mortal Kombat Legends, Scorpion's Revenge. So I feel like it does kind of work well for the tone and the kind of aesthetic that they were trying to get across with this film. That said, though, some of these speaking scenes are incredibly stiff when you kind of see these characters kind of interacting, so that's looking a bit unnatural. But that said, the fighting scenes in this movie look absolutely incredible. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, obviously kind of gore and fatalities are kind of the big prevalent thing in the video games, and they haven't necessarily crossed over into the movie world until now, because the scenes where the fighting is happening and all of the fatalities that are taking place look absolutely epic. So from a visuals point overall, bit of a mixed bag, but you know, they kind of do work well for this animation movie. So in terms of comparisons, we have seen the classic Mortal Kombat tournament storyline done quite a few times now, especially in the video games where they've rebooted it a few times, and you've seen the first tournament taking place a few times. We've obviously seen it happening in the live action movies, we've seen it in the TV series and a couple of other iterations as well, and now we're seeing it in a brand new rebooted animation storyline. So you know, it's done for the right reasons, I feel, because you know, when the game was kind of having a few games released and you're kind of having new characters, then the sales were starting to go down a little bit, and obviously the beloved characters are the favourite ones. So I feel like they've done the right thing in terms of going back to basics and kind of restarting the storylines. But in terms of comparisons, my favourite version of this storyline was done in the rebooted video game storyline in Mortal Kombat 9, so that's my personal preference in terms of the origin storyline. And I was actually a really big fan of the live action original movies. I know nobody really liked the two live action movies, but I thought they were alright. So those are my two preferences. But you know, that being said, like I said before, the difference with this animation movie is that you have one character storyline that has a lot more prevalence than the other characters. So they've got a bit of a different identity over here, and for that reason it is kind of in its own category. But like I said before, from a comparison point of view, I have got a preference for the origin storyline in different mediums. So overall, I'm sure you can tell I am a big Mortal Kombat fan, and from a fan point of view, it's really nice to kind of see this franchise kind of being taken further, seeing new productions kind of being made for it. Scorpion is a lot of people's favourite character, so it's nice to kind of see his character have a bit more exploration in terms of how he got to become the character that he is. It will be really nice to kind of see where this animation kind of goes in the future as well, if they're going to release one every 6 months, every year, and to kind of see how it compares to the upcoming new rebooted live action movie franchise. Is that going to be another retelling of the Mortal Kombat original tournament storyline? It'd be interesting to kind of see the different paths that the live action reboot takes and this animation style takes. But as far as this movie goes, I am going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.